Hello and welcome everyone to today's meeting. Today is February 6th. I'd like to call to order today's meeting. It is 4:15. We'll go ahead and start off with roll call. My name is Amber and I am present. Angela is absent. David?
Present.
Sarah is absent as well. Shannon?
Present.
Dina is absent. Olivia?
Present.
And last but not least, Mr. Craig Wilson.
I'm present, and I would correct that Dina's resigned, so she's not absent.
Oh, resigned, so I say that resigned. I didn't, okay. I mean, yes, that is the first item we'll get to, but yes, correct. She's not absent. She left us, but we still love her. Okay, we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. All right, thank you for that. So I am going to make a motion to approve the agenda. However, there was a small oversight on item 11C. The correct calendar year should be 25-26 and not 24-25. So can I please get a motion to approve the agenda with a small revision needed, please?
All motion.
I approve.
Awesome. Motion approved. Oh, you're good. We have to vote. All those in aye? All those in favor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry. This is what happens when you don't have a board meeting in January. I apologize. I was still in hibernation mode. I apologize. If I can also get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
All motion.
I second.
Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Motion approved. All in favor, sorry. Motion approved. I need to get my little note. Sorry. Okay, do we have any, moving on to communications from the public, do we have any public that wishes to speak? Do we have any out in Redlands?
We do have here in Redlands, yes.
Okay, give me one quick minute. Is our speaker out in Redlands ready?
She is. So we have Alma Garcia, who is reading a letter on behalf of a PLT down here in our area.
Okay, thank you so much. Just a reminder, you do have 3 minutes and Denise will go ahead and tell you if your time is up in the event that you do run longer than that. You may start whenever you're ready.
Dear GLCN Board, Julie Fields, PLT, here reporting to you from the field. While I am currently conducting LP5 meetings with my students, I wanted to send a message of encouragement through my colleague, Alma Garcia. This is my 19th year working full-time at Gorman. I have never been more proud of the school we are creating than now. My fellow PLTs are hardworking, engaged, and passionate about our unique mission. Our resource centers are providing social, educational experiences in a safe place that feels like family. Our parent education team timely training for parents who crave ideas and support. We are more intentionally guiding our students towards standards mastery with the many curriculum options created by our subject expert teachers. Our GVA and CTE teams provide engaging, challenging virtual learning experiences with guidance and credentialed teachers. We offer a wide array of interventions to help fill in the gaps and enable students to rise to their grade level so that no one falls through the cracks. In essence, the personalized learning experience we created for each of our students challenges them to grow, to pursue their interests, and to gain awareness of their giftedness and bright future. I want to thank you, our board, for giving your precious time to lead our school in greater growth and flourishing. One of the best decisions you have made is to hire Olivia Duran to lead us. I have worked alongside Olivia as a PLT. I have served her under her leadership as an RD, and now I am grateful to call her our executive director. Olivia is a person of integrity, strength, and wisdom. She has empathy for us as staff because she knows what it is like to be in our shoes. I know that when I come to her with requests, she will consider it well, and even if she cannot grant my request, she helps me understand the why behind the no. Olivia speaks the truth in love. I have great confidence in her, and she intimately knows the DNA of our school and is fighting to preserve the unique ways in which we educate our students. With Olivia at the helm, I have great confidence for the future of our school. I thank God for the gifts of Gorman. I thank you for the opportunity to share, and thank you again, GLCN Board, for your services to us. Signed, Julie Fields.
Thank you so much for that. Santa Clarita, do we have anyone at your site that would wish to do the public comment?
We do not have anyone in Santa Clarita.
Okay, thank you so much for verifying that. Now moving on to comments from board members not on the agenda. Do we have any discussion from our board members? Okay. And if I can get a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda, please?
I'll motion.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? It's okay. No nays or abstains for the record. The ayes have it. Thank you.
I think for the record, David had his microphone off, so that's why
Yeah.
we couldn't hear him.
Okay, wonderful. So moving on to item 10, which is the report and communication to the Board of Directors by Olivia Duran.
Thank you. In your packet, you have your executive director report, all of the happenings that are happening at RRC, AVRC, and then just some PLT updates. I'll let you guys look over those. A lot of it's from the winter break, the dances they had, the sports that are going on. PLTs are working on making sure that our parents understand the immunization sort of changes that are going to happen next year at the resource centers. So they've been communicating that with parents, working on iReady, getting that second iReady test taken care of so that we can use that data when we have to go to charter for our charter renewal. Appreciate all the parents that are encouraging their kids to do their best on that assessment, that benchmark. It actually shows growth throughout the year, and it helps us when we have to go present to our charter, our authorizing authorities to ask for our charter to be renewed. So thank you, all those parents. Some other things that are upcoming, we have our CASP test coming up in spring. Many other things happening there. One thing I do want to add in the upcoming dates, Redlands graduation is May 28th at the Redlands Bowl. And that was not in the upcoming dates. So Santa Clarita and Antelope Valleys were in there, but I wanted to make sure that you guys as a board members know, and you are welcome to come to all the graduations or one. We would love to have any board member at the graduations to represent the board and show your support for the students. Some CTE updates. The CTE showcase was supposed to be in person this Saturday. That has now been moved to a virtual platform. So our students are working hard with their teachers to create their presentations and what they were going to present. That's going to be, we'll use it as a promotional for our CTE program to get that out on Parent Square and to use it with teachers and parents that maybe might not know about what CTE is and what kinds of projects and things that the students are doing in their classes. We have Gretchen and Karina, two of our CTE teachers here at Gorman. They're going to be attending a Educating for Career conference in Sacramento in March. So that's it. I've gone a couple years, great information about moving kids from that high school to the careers, and just the information there is just wonderful. So I'm glad that they get to attend that. I do want to acknowledge Kadash. He's one of our Ag CTE students. He has passed his first section for his state degree for agriculture, and he's also been named the Southern California FFA regional winner when it came to his project with irrigation. So that's a #1 for California because we are a virtual FFA charter. And that's the first in California's history because of our virtual charter status. So congratulations, Kadash. And we encourage you and we are behind you, supporting you as you possibly may be able to compete at this. I believe you're going to compete at the state. And we wish you the best of luck and we'll be there to support you. Fiscal updates for you. So fiscal updates, we're now working on second interim. That's not on your form. I have this on the back end. We're working on second interim, getting that together. We are in the middle of our STRS audit, so we're working with legal counsel there to work on the appeals. There's a couple findings. There was 3 findings. One of them we said yes, 2 of them we're asking for appeals, so we're working with Young Mini and Core on that. Wanted just to give you an update that that's still in the process. Looked into back office help for our fiscal team through DMS. So moving forward, sort of trying to figure out the best course moving forward with our fiscal team there. I have asked for requisitions to be, so that means all POs, anything purchased that can be done ahead of time to be done before March 15th. And I'm hoping that that'll do one of 2 things. One, it'll help our fiscal department be ahead of all those requisitions. So when it comes to year end and having to close the books, they're not going to be trying to also do requisitions for the next year. But number 2, it'll give us a better idea of where we are budget wise. So in the past, we would get actuals and sort of a projection, and it's this number that you may get to this point, but I'm hoping that having these requisitions, as many purchases as possible done by March 15th, we can close those books early. And then when we go into that budget season at the end of the year, going into the 25-26 year, that those numbers would be more accurate and maybe not more accurate when we come to our budgeting for that time. So that's fiscal updates and executive director updates. And that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And maybe when Gretchen Benham gets back from her trip, she can present something about what she learned at the conference. I like giving my former PLT teacher homework. All right, moving on to item 11, which is information, discussion, and action agenda. Item 11A, which is review, discussion, and approval of the letter of resignation from our board member, Dina QCs, presented by me. So with that said, I would like to take a moment to announce that Dina has submitted her resignation from the board effective immediately. We sincerely appreciate her time, dedication, and contributions to the board and the students we serve. During her tenure, she has been a valued member, advocating for the quality education and supporting the mission of our school. On behalf of the entire board, I want to thank Dina for her service and the impact she has made. We wish her all the best in her future endeavors. Thank you so much, Dina. Okay. So moving on to item 11B, which is review, discussion, and approval of GLC's audit report presented by Olivia Duran. And in replacement, Mr. Kyle Holtz was not able to be in attendance, but he did send his representative, Viviana Alonso, which is from CWDL. I knew I was going to butcher that. Go
Hi,
ahead.
good. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the audit report is something that we do annually. CWDL, this is their second year auditing Gorman Learning Charter Network. So I'll go ahead and let you take the floor, Vivian.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, everybody. I did have a little PowerPoint. Am I able to share that so you guys can kind of follow along? Or,
Hold on. We'll
okay,
see if we can do that.
sure.
We have to get our IT guy to
Oh,
make
no
sure we
worries.
can share. Can you try now?
Perfect.
Okay, we just need to get it back on our screen, so hold on.
Viviana, we can see your screen now.
Perfect. So you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just go ahead and start. So again, hi everybody. Good evening. My name is Viviana. I know Kyle was scheduled to be on the call today, but he couldn't make it, so I just stepped in for him real quick. But again, thank you to everybody for all of their hard work throughout the audit. It's definitely a team effort. It's a collaborative, working effect with, all of your guys' team and our team. So again, everything went well. So congratulations. I know that's the answer we all want to hear. So quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and present what the audit report looks like. So if anybody wants to follow along or has any questions, we can go ahead and do so at the end. So quickly on today's agenda, I'm just going to go over the services and deliverables of our audit, the different components of the report, financial statements, and the summary of our audit results. For services and deliverables, so as an auditor, we're auditing district's financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2024. We conducted our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted within the United States of America and standard applicable financial audits contained in government auditing standards issued by the Comptroller General of the United States, meaning we're giving our financial statement opinions, state compliance opinions, and federal opinions. So again, that's just kind of like the legal jargon that you guys would see in the very beginning of our report. For the components of the audit report, the audited financial statements, looking at the components of the financial statements, you'll see that on page 1, we show the independent auditor's report, where we've issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest form of opinion that is available to us as auditors. So meaning the financial statements of this report represented fairly in all material respects in the respective financial position of the business type as of June 30th, 2024. And then from pages 4 to 6, you'll see the statement of financial position, statement of activities and changes in net assets, and statement of cash flow for all of June 30th, 2024. And I just want to point out that in the cash flow table on page 6, I did want to outline that we do see the beginning and ending cash and cash equivalent totals. So those are the two main totals we work with in the beginning of the audit. And again, at the very end, summing the grand total as of June 30th, 2024 for Gorman. After the basic financial statements, we get into the remaining financial information, where on pages 7 to 17, you'll find the notes to financial statements, where in this section, we kind of get into a little bit more detail than what you would just see in the financial tables above. For example, we have various notes that are related to cash, cash equivalents, investments, AR, capital assets, employee retirement plans, just to name a few. And then pages 18 to 25 is the required supplementary information of the report. And this is where we would find a list of our governing board, schedule of expenditure of federal awards, schedule of average daily attendance, combining statement of financial position, combining statement of activities and changes in net assets, and a description of all the, basically just a description showing explaining the purpose of all of the schedules. And then following on pages 26 to 33 is the other independent auditors report. And lastly, pages 34 to 37, you'll find our findings and question cost section. So this is where we would outline if there were any findings and what the question cost would be. But again, you guys didn't have any. However, that's where we would find that in that portion of the report, if there were any. And I find this to be the most important slide. So this is just a summary of the auditor's results. Again, this is just a result found in the finding and questions cost section of the report. Here's where we show the opinion of the financial statements, federal awards, and state awards. And the first one you guys see is the financial statements, in which we issued an unmodified opinion where there were no types of material weakness, no significant deficiencies noted. Second is a federal award opinion. Again, an unmodified opinion, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted. And lastly is the state award opinion with an unmodified opinion as well. No types of material weaknesses or significant deficiencies noted as of June 30th, 2024. So again, ultimately, this is what we would want that summary of auditor results to look like in the report, outlining the unmodified opinion and no material weaknesses, which is great on your guys' end. And then just, wanted to say thank you again to Gorman and all of your guys' staff for a successful audit year and for everybody's time. If there weren't any questions, please feel free to reach out to us here at CWDL, myself, Kyle, the partners. And I know Olivia is in pretty great contact with us. So if you guys had any questions, I kind of wanted to filter it through her, then get to us. That's another option as well. But if there were any questions, this would be the time. No?
I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations on a great audit. So I know we'll have another successful audit year coming up. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Viviana.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen and send it back to you guys. I think I did it, right?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Have you guys have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, well, that was a very thorough audit and very pleased with the outcome of that. Moving on to, oh, I'm so sorry. Can I get a motion to approve the audit?
I'll
Report.
motion.
I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Motion approved. Okay, moving on to the review, discussion, and approval of 2025-2026 Gorman calendar presented by Olivia.
Thank you. So every year we bring the academic calendar to the board for approval. We have to make sure that the students have 175 academic days. This calendar looks a little bit different. So I want to thank Michelle Malhorter and the RDs and Sylvia also. She had some input at the end here I'm trying to condense the calendars. So this calendar looks a little different than the ones in previous years, but it lists out the holidays. It has the learning periods, the weeks, which teachers use when a new student comes in, they need to put on the master agreement how many weeks they have left in the school year. So that way there's just less calendars out there. So you'll notice a couple LPs that are more than those 20 school days that is required by our charter. But they do have the holidays in there, which are not counted, or it's during April when we do our testing. So all of the students are connected at least sometime within that time period. Are there any questions about the 25-26 GLC and calendar?
I have a quick question, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that the last day of instruction is the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So Redlands is graduating after
Mhm.
school is out?
This is next year.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
this is next year. But Redlands is also their graduation for this current year is gonna be after the kids are out, it's fine.
Okay, all right, that was my only question. All right, any other questions? Okay, if I can get a motion to approve the 2025-2026 calendar year.
I'll motion.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Motion approved. Moving on to item 11D, which is review, discussion, and approval of Marticulation Board Policy 5005.4 presented by Olivia.
So this policy has been brought to the board a couple different times. It's as the state changes their, what they give to us as a school to have to do for those TK students. As of now, a student, if you turn 4 by September 1st, you can enroll in a TK class, which is very similar to kindergarten in 2 years. It's a little bit slower. Now that the curriculum is in place and they have, kids are being enrolled, it's also to help with California enrollment. So when you look at California student enrollment through California, there's been a decline. And then within the last 2 years, it sort of has leveled off because they've now allowed those 4-year-olds to join and become part of the school system. Part of that is our teaching. Our teachers have to we have to make sure that our teachers are certificated or have the right credentialing, the right education to be able to teach these 4-year-olds, right? They're a little bit different. The development's different. California Ed Code has certain things in place, so that is what I have added into this policy. On our end, so one thing, a teacher can get 24 units of early childhood credit or early childhood development credit, which pretty much equates to an AA in early childhood. They could hold already a credential in childhood development or in early childhood. So if they had taught at a preschool or if they had been a manager at a preschool and they had those credits in place already. Or there is also an option where the LEA, which is Gorman Learning Charter Network, can come up with the plan for those teachers to be able to have that certification, and it needs to be on file in their personnel file for them to hold TK students on their roster. So you guys know, as being parents, those in the public, Gorman is, when you come in, your family, you want to stay with the same teacher. You don't want your high schooler and your elementary kids with one teacher and your TK with another teacher. So we're asking teachers for this coming year, 25, 26, to, we have an at-a-glance that we've sort of laid out if they've had TK students prior, if you have any kind of units. We also have some free training that they can do, and those hours will equate to credits. Not official credits, but hours that would be equivalent to, I guess. So we have a plan in place. The RDs have already been talking to the PLTs, so they know that if they want to have a TK student on their roster to keep that family intact, then they have to do these things. The main reason, right now at this point, when we have TK students, we're not getting any ADA or apportionment for them. So there's students enrolled with us because we're hoping that they're going to continue to stay with us and then eventually get the ADA. As of 25, 26, if that student is not on if that student is on a teacher's roster that does not have the correct certification or the correct stamp of approval, then we will not get ADA for that student. So we want to make sure that those students that we are bringing in, that we are providing an education for all the way at that 4-year-old, that age of 4, that we're receiving that ADA for them. So I would ask that you approve this policy. Pretty much it's straight from the Ed Code, sort of what is qualified to have, the teachers to be qualified to have. Are there any questions?
I have a question. So
Okay.
For the teachers that already have the TK students or early development kids, do they have to go and do the continuing like education for that? Or do they automatically just, because they've had them previous, do they just kind of get grandfathered into that?
So they will have until the beginning of July 1st of 2025, so the beginning of next school year. They can either get the 24 units, which is going to be a challenge, or
Right.
they could already have it on their transcript, or they can jump through the hoops that Gorman and the RDs and the high school counselors and HR sort of decided, like, you can do these things to get the stamp of approval, or they would have to have a certification. So if they don't have one of those things, then that TK student would be moved to another teacher's roster that has those things. So this is something we've been communicating to teachers going back probably a year and a half ago. So they know that it's been coming. It just hasn't been officially like, you have to do this right now. So now we've given them some time. We've given them the opportunity. There's things that can happen. Their student will stay on the roster this year, and then I believe it's the next following years when the apportionment portion comes in. So if they're on their roster now and they don't have these things, then they would probably be moved onto another teacher's roster. I think sort of threw me off. I'm going, wait a second. There's a lot, and there's certifications and all this, and then there's a whole TK credential that goes into this. So then it gets very confusing when it comes to, but it's the bridge between preschool and the general education.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the Marticulation Board Policy 5005.4?
All motion?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Motion approved. Moving on to item 11E, which is the review, discussion, and approval of the Uniform Complaint Board Policy Administration Regulation and Form 2001.3, presented by Olivia Duran and Sylvia Montejano.
So the uniform complaint procedure, the policy that's shown on the board and the policy that you as board members have is going to be the one I'm asking for approval on. It's not the one that's found in the board packet. There was some last minute, just legal suggestions. So the uniform complaint procedure policy is on our website. It's what is used if there's complaints about students or if a teacher's not doing something correctly. So you would find it, they would fill out the form and they would turn it into the email ucp@gormanlc.org. And then that would come to myself, and then we would figure out who follow through with the complaint and do an investigation. So I'm asking that the board approve the UCP policy that's been revised and yeah.
Do we have any questions on the policy? Okay. So if I can get a motion to approve the policy that we have in front of us and not the policy that's in the board packet?
Yes.
I'll motion.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstained? The ayes have it. Motion approved. Moving on to item 11F, review, discussion, and approval of replacing the grievance board policy with the employee complaint board's policy 7002.14, presented by Olivia Duran and Sylvia? No.
So this is, we're asking for the grievance policy to be replaced by an employee's complaint policy. A grievance policy typically is used when there are unions and that kind of thing that are happening. So we have looked over it, followed up with a couple different schools that have similar policies like this one, and we're asking that it be replaced with the policy that you have in your hands and that's on the screen. So it just goes through the steps if an employee or someone has a complaint against any other employee, against a supervisor, against myself, the steps to take to have that complaint resolved.
Any questions? Okay. If I can get a motion to approve the replacement of the grievance policy with the employee complaints board policy 700214.
I will motion.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstain? The ayes have it. Thank you so much. Moving on to item 11G, review and discussion of the 2024-2025 mid-year LCAP update presented by Jana Walker.
I'll say it again. Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you guys. So I am going to be presenting 3 different things for you guys tonight. The first one is this mid-year update on our local control and accountability plan. So if you're familiar with public schools and you've been with us for a little while, every year we bring you an LCAP. It's a 3-year plan that every California public school has to present to their board. It's board approved, and it's also something that is very collaborative. So typically several staff members will contribute, but it's also based heavily off of the feedback we get from all educational partners, which would include our staff, students, and families, as well as any invested people from our community that want to participate in the LCAP. So as part of the LCAP cycle, we are required to present a mid-year update. It is not nearly as thorough as the actual LCAP itself. That's something that we'll be coming back and presenting to you later on in May for the next school year. But what we want to show you is how we're doing with the funds that we budgeted for our 4 LCAP goals. You'll be able to see where we are spending in a general way year to date at this point. So if you want to go ahead and scroll forward a little bit. I've included for you the 4 goals that we have in our existing LCAP. Because we've already presented on this, I won't spend too much time on them, but I will reiterate what each of the 4 goals are as we move through. So next slide, please. Okay, so for our first goal, our goal is to equip students of all levels and in all student groups with the tools needed to succeed in college, career, and life. You can see our actual funds that we have spent to date thus far on the left column under actual, and then on the right for budgeted, you can see what we anticipate spending by the end of our fiscal year, which ends June 30th. Underneath all of those words that are underneath the goal 1 actions, those are all of the different actions that pertain to this goal. So you can see on there our college and career workshops, career presentations, CAST performance, AP courses, our iReady diagnostic, standards tracking, curriculum development, our multi-tiered systems of support, or MTSS. Our DOR collaboration, that's a benefit for our SPED students, is on there as well. So all of those things are funded through this goal, and you can see that in both schools, we're coming in a little less than half at this point, which is great. That means that we're not overspending in any extremely evident ways in this goal. Any questions related to goal 1? Okay, we can go ahead and move on to goal 2. And I have Stacy up here as well. Partly wanted her to be up here with us because she and I are collaborating on getting together all the information for the upcoming LCAP cycle that we have. So even visually, there's more than one of us that are contributing to this. Lots of work goes into it. For our goal 2 action, you can see there it is to enhance, or I'm sorry, this is our actual goal 2. The actions are listed underneath, but the description of goal 2 is to enhance engagement and foster a positive climate and inform decisions through communication forums, personalized support, MTSS, and data-driven strategies. So all of the different things that are funded in this category, you can see below there. Lots of our website things are there. So we are in the process of revamping our website. So our website fees are included. We have our parent seminars. We have a digital library, which I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with, but your PLTs, if you have families with us, our PLTs are very familiar. We have a vast library of training resources that can be utilized by both parents and staff. So that's covered under here as well. And you can see these other things. And again, somewhere closing the gap a little over halfway, but so far spending on track for both of these categories. Any questions on goal 2? Okay, moving on to goal 3. This is our goal here was to provide a personalized learning model to all students. You can see this, those numbers jump way up. So we're now in the multi-million-dollar spending budget here. And even still, you can see operationally speaking, when it comes to, we have everything in here from our personalized learning teachers and SPED staff. So all of our credentialed staff are in this category, our curriculum and materials, devices and internet. So this particular goal covers quite a vast majority of our operations as a school. And you can see where our spending is year to date thus far there on the right. Any questions on goal 3? Okay, and finally, goal 4. This is our focus goal this year and for the next 2 years with our LCAP. We're trying to ensure that there's equitable access to our academic and social emotional support for all students by optimizing our in-person learning experiences. So this includes everything from our resource centers, field trips, community partners. Post-COVID, we've seen a huge need for students to connect interpersonally with one another and with educators. And so we wanted to make that our focus goal. You can see our budgeted and our year-to-date split by both schools. Left is GLC and right is SBSC. Any questions on this? Okay, well, I thank you for your time on this first one. This is review and discussion only, so if there's no questions, we can go ahead and move on to our next item.
All right, moving on to item 11H. Review and discussion of Dashboard Local Performance Indicator Review, again by Ms. Jana Walker and Stacy McIntyre.
Okay, so you'll hear a little more from both Stacy and I on this one. If you're not familiar with Parsec, Parsec is a data company that we meet with. We have a partnership. We meet with them on a regular basis to go over data of all kinds, but very specifically student achievement data. So as a charter school, one of the things that we constantly have to monitor is how we're performing on our California State dashboard. So when we're talking about our local performance indicator on that dashboard, we want to make sure that our board is familiar with what that is, how to access it. So if we go to our next slide here, I went ahead and hyperlinked in the direct links to the GLC and the SBSC school dashboards. We won't go through the whole thing in its entirety now, but it's recommended that you preview it. They've actually added a couple new data tracking features directly on that dashboard that make it really helpful to see how we're performing over time.
Real quick, the dashboard is where they go to find out if we're a high achieving school, a mid achieving school, or a low when it comes to charter renewal. So when we're talking about the dashboard, this is what our authorizers are going to look at first off to see what kind of school we are. So that's why it's so important.
Yes. All California public schools are rated on that dashboard, and as it stands now and where we anticipate being is on the mid renewal track. If you're a high performing school, it's presumed renewal. It's presumed that you will be renewed. If you're on the low performing track, it's presumed non-renewal. We're right in the middle with probably 80% of other charter schools where we will have likely renewal, but we still need to explain why our scores look the way they do, and that's where the fun part comes in. So we will move to the next slide and I will show you what we are looking at. These images are reflective of the same data that's available to the California State Dashboard, but these graphs belong to Parsec Education. They were able to help us look at a multi-year view. So that first column that you're looking at, the top row in particular, is first GLCN as a network. Middle column is Gorman Learning, and the final column on the right is GLC SBSC. In general, what you're looking for in those top three graphs is the bluer the better. So each of those first columns is starting back in 2018-19 pre-pandemic. And then we had a year or two where we didn't test due to the pandemic. And then the years post-COVID are included on the right, 21-22, 22-23, and the most recently available data, 23-24. Ideally, what you would see is that we have more blue from year to year. You can see that in some cases that's there, in other cases not so much. And the mid-renewal track as being a mid-renewal track charter, our opportunity is to explain why it looks like this, and we have a very good reason as to why. If you were around Gorman around COVID, there was a massive rush to independent learning opportunities post-COVID as schools were closing. So we had a massive influx of students before, during, and after school closures. When the schools reopened, we saw a mass outflux, and a lot of the students that had come to us took their wonderful scores with them and left. So there can be a very deceiving trend when you're looking at data compiled this way. So that mid-renewal track allows us the opportunity to explain what we actually saw as time went on and how our student population was changing. So this is not an apples to apples comparison of the same students performing over time. These are very likely a vastly different group of students that were being compared from year to year. The bottom row of graphs, you would ideally see this moving in an upwards trend. We have a lovely roller coaster. Again, same reason, due to a very different student population, but that bottom graph is measuring our distance from standard. So ideally, every year, even if we were scoring in nearly met, for example, our actual points towards getting close to the standard or the average where the rest of the state is performing would be moving in a positive direction, but there's no obvious positive trend here. In fact, we see a negative trend, but again, our reasons for it are the vastly different population that was included in this data. Any questions on this? That's our ELA scores. We can move on to the next. This is our math scores. It's the same kind of information, but those bottom graphs see exactly what we would hope to see over time. If we were utilizing the same student population, you'd want to see it slowly getting higher, higher, higher than average, which would mean that as students stay with us, they're actually performing better. You can still see math is one of those things that in comparison to English, it's just harder. The students in California don't tend to score as well, and then specifically students in an independent study model tend to struggle, especially as we get into those higher grades, but we will have opportunities to talk about some of the ways we're addressing these things. So I'm actually going to turn it over briefly to Stacy. She's going to share with you a little bit about what we're doing to prepare for CASP this year.
Isn't she amazing? I love Jana. Shout out to her. Thank you so much for having me here today, and it's a pleasure to be here at Gorman and helping to lead the CASP project and testing for our students here. As Jana shared, there was an influx, and we did lose students that went back to the traditional school setting after and during COVID, but we're here to move forward, and we've gotten some very positive feedback after incorporating some incentives last year for testing participation. We had great outcomes, and participation rates went up, and we're very strong. So we're excited about that. So because of all the positive feedback we received, we will be continuing to do incentives this year for students for testing, and with our fully participating initiative as well, and with our iReady testing and consistency there, we have some alignment with consistent testing, whether it's iReady or CASP being done by our PLTs. So I'm excited to share that. I think that that's a huge step in the positive direction, and we really appreciate our PLTs and their diligence and commitment to this effort as well. I wanted to share that we've already started, and we started a while back. If you know anything about me and Jana as well, we are planners. So we have been planning as the takeoff of the ship, so to speak, for our CASP testing. We've already been communicating when the testing target 2 weeks will be in March, and we've already been, I'm a cheerleader by nature, so to speak, so I've already been championing, is that a word? Yeah. The CASP testing efforts, and we've already started planning and getting our students the accommodations that they need, making sure that they're designated correctly in the systems, adding new students as they come in so that they're ready to test right out the gate. I've been working with, I have to give a shout out to Kiwi and Dorothy, our testing CASP coordinators, who are amazing. And so we've been meeting weekly and planning. We also, right from the get-go, got our administrative team involved, as well as SPED. Our SPED director, Brianna, as well, involved to make sure that all voices were heard, and making sure that all students are successful in this effort. If you know anything about me, you also know that I have a special education student of my own son Blake, and so I have a heart for making sure that all students have the support that they need. So I'll always stand for that here at Gorman. So I'm excited to share that like I said, we've already started the planning process, and we will be making a really strong effort to make sure that all students are testing. I do want to say that we have about half of our student population, 1,200 to 1,500 students that will actually be testing this year. So that's awesome. So we're excited about that, and we're assigning students to testing and getting that all allocated and lined up as it should be. Anything I missed? And communications have been going out in Parent Square, as well as the newsletter, to make sure that parents know about what's coming. And we appreciate their support in participating and helping our students participate in this effort. Thank you.
So I'm glad she said the number 1,500. That's 1,500 Chromebooks, 1,500 students starting in 3rd grade up through 11th grade that are testing. And at Gorman, we have a very high population of SPED students, and a lot of them require one-to-one testing. So it's a mass effort. We have to get at least 95% of our students testing. Is it 98? 95 or above. So the majority of students, I'd like to be optimistic. We need at least 95%. So it takes a lot. And in an independent study model, we often will face some resistance from families who have chosen our model so they don't have to do testing like this. And so it's a big effort to make sure communication is going out there appropriately and that we get the right family involvement. We can go ahead and move on to our next slide. This will be the shorter part of our presentation. We had asked Parsec to help us track our correlation between iReady and CASP. As you guys know, we have our students test 3 times a year. They take an iReady diagnostic. One of our initiatives last year had been to monitor how closely our iReady participation or our iReady scores are predicting our CASP scores. So what you can see, that general line with all those dots, those are individual iReady scores and contrasted with actual CASP scores. And you can see that the line and the dots are moving in the same direction and roughly the same slope. And that's a good thing. That means that we are relatively accurately predicting how students will test. Our goal is that next year that will be an even tighter bunch of dots because we are proctoring iReady. So in proctoring, the way that we are for beginning, middle, and end of year, now teachers are having to sit in and observe their students take these tests instead of just letting parents work with their students. And we're hoping in doing that the climate itself will mimic what they will be experiencing with CASP, and we'll see very similar scores, because iReady and CASP are supposed to be very highly correlated. Absolutely.
I just wanted to interject really quick, coming from a public school background and special education administration and so forth in my career, what I have found to be true is consistency over time is a huge factor. Also testing with the teacher that you know and love is a huge factor. So that's part of why we've been moving in this direction, is for students to be successful and for it not to be a one-stop shop, do your CASP test and be done and never have that experience again or never have been prepared for that experience. We want our students to know what's coming. We want them to be used to it and comfortable so that they can do their very best and they can shine. So that's really behind what we're doing. I think it's always important to share that. It's not about just having students test. It's about giving them the opportunity to show what they've got and show all the brains and the chutzpah and all the good things, all the amazing things that they can, all their creativity and knowledge. So that's why we're doing that, is so that students are comfortable and ready and prepared. And there's also CASP tests, practice tests available as well online that they can practice it with as well.
Okay, so to wrap this portion up and then open it up if there are any questions, Denise, we can forward to the documenting learning. It's a couple screens past. So the three things, if you were going to take anything away from this presentation, that are the big bullet points to hang on to. The first was, when you see the roller coaster graphs, make sure that you are understanding the changes we saw in our student population. The second thing would be, and this kind of, when we were working with Parsec, it came out even more abundantly. So even though both schools experienced that big incoming outgoing, GLC has continued to have more of a retention issue than the SBSC side. There can be a lot of different reasons for that, but typically with data, the best thing it can do is generate more questions that lead to even more information. So we've been working with our enrollment team to have conversations around that, and even with teachers as well. Just trying to understand, it's one thing when students are leaving to go to a brick and mortar because maybe our model's not preferred for them, but it's another thing if we see them going from our model to a similarly structured charter. That's something that we can typically do something about. So that was one of the other things we want to try to lessen, that revolving door that we're seeing for both schools, but specifically for GLC, so that we're not seeing so much fluctuation in our data year to year. I will add that for the students that were not first-year students that have stayed with us, the data strongly shows that when students are with us between 2 and 4 years, they are making strides year after year. So it isn't evident in the big group view, but it is if you funnel it down that way. And finally, math scores continue to be a challenge for all schools in California, but our way of addressing that is by the Fully Participating Initiative, trying to really encourage students to dig in with iReady if they're underperforming. And we also have great resources available at our resource centers and our Gorman Virtual Academy. At the Gorman Virtual Academy, we have credentialed teachers actually teaching those upper level maths, and we're expecting to see continued positive results from our students who are participating in those workshops. So with all of that information, are there any questions or concerns that you'd like to share? Okay. And if not, that was another discussion item, so no vote necessary. And I have one more, and then I will get out of the way and let somebody else come up here.
Awesome. Moving on to item 11I, review, discussion, and approval of school accountability report card. Jana Walker.
Okay, so this is a massive document, but our conversation will actually be relatively short. The same data that feeds into the California School Dashboard also helps to populate the School Accountability Report Card, also known as the SARC. So what you're looking at is a very large document that is about 90% pre-populated from state data. It goes over all kinds of information. We have a few fields that we are able to edit as we go through here. So if you scroll down, for example, to page 116, you'll see that our current executive director has made it in there. Lots of general information about our school. By and large, these things don't change much from year to year, but if there were areas that did get updated, like our plan for addressing English learning, we made sure that it included the most accurate information. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through it. It was a very lengthy document, but again, a vast majority of it was pre-populated for us by state data. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, and I don't believe this needed approval. I believe we just needed to make sure we presented it. I will also note the School Accountability Report Card is one of those documents that has to make a presence on our website. So this is posted on our website and available from year to year And this current version is on there as well. And with that, I will hand it back to the board president.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Jana and Stacy. And I had, sorry, my brain went somewhere, but I did want to just quickly take a moment to wish all of our students much success on the CASP testing. Thank you to our PLTs that are doing the proctoring. Thank you to the parents and everyone else that is preparing the children to just be stress-free, be comfortable in test taking. So it takes a tribe, it takes a village. So thank you so much, and best of luck to all the students for our CAPS testing. With that said, I will be moving on to item 11J, which is review, discussion, and approval of corrections and testing contract for the AVRC gym fire sprinkler system presented by Olivia Duran.
Oh, still green. Okay, so we had the fire marshal come out to AVRC, do the fire inspection. Phil was here, so if we have questions, he can also help us. But our gym failed the sprinkler test. So Phil did a wonderful job. He went out and he got 3 quotes for us. So you might see 2 different numbers on there. I wanted to explain that quickly. So we could have, or we could still do, but I'm suggesting just replacing. And it is within our lease that we are responsible for the fire system while we're here. But we could, a couple of the testing companies said that we can test a small portion of the sprinklers, and if they pass, then the inspection would pass. But we have 2 sets of sprinklers, and you also have to remember that that sprinkler system is connected to the senior center. So the senior center also has to pass that fire inspection test. So yes, there's a smaller amount on here that talks about just testing. But after discussion and after some review, I'm going to ask that we just replace the system as a whole. I've talked with Rami already. He knows about the senior center. He's taking care of the senior center. So that portion is on him, and he understands that, because if that does not get replaced as well, then we will not pass inspection, and then the kids can no longer use the gym. So right now the fire marshal is giving us a leeway because we are in the process of getting it completed and getting it fixed. There's 3 quotes there, and you'll see a little bit of a couple $1,000s difference between the 3 quotes. This one here that's on the screen, Tasco, it is a couple $1,000s more. But the one thing with Tasco is they know this property. We don't have to get a sprinkler map blueprint of the sprinklers, where the other ones don't know our property or know the property here, and we would have to pay for a remapping of the sprinklers and where are they all at. And so overall, Tasco is going to be, I'm asking to approve this company to replace the sprinklers, because they already know the system. They know they know where the sprinklers are. They know what needs to be replaced. And it's at the cost of $28,263.85. And it's one of those things that, no, it was not in the current budget. As we go into second interim, we will make sure it's reflected in there. But it's one of those things that we have to do. If not, our students and those that are leasing the gym from us, subleasing, are not going to be able to use the gym. So if you have any questions for myself or Phil, we would be more than happy to answer those.
I have a question. If we were to approve this, what is the time frame for them to repair the sprinklers? Like, is it gonna affect the sporting events or the kids using that? Like, what is the downtime for the gym? Would you mind going to the mic? I'm so sorry.
Goes
Thank
to
you.
everyone.
I don't actually have that piece of information. I can get it. I'm sure it would just take a phone call and ask what the turnaround time would be on that. I can't imagine it taking more than a couple of days. And so, I mean, if need be, I could be here. If they could be available on a weekend, I could sit here all weekend and watch them do it. I will work around the school schedule to try and make it as least invasive as possible.
I appreciate that. Phil, stay up there just in case somebody else.
Okay,
Somebody
I'm
else
with
has
you.
any other questions? What is the time frame? You did say that I believe it was the fire marshal, right? Is giving us some leeway. When do they expect to see the replacement for art? Because you mentioned we have to do ours, and then the senior center has to do theirs as well. I guess my only concern would be any delays from our landlord to get that portion done. So what is the time frame that we have to rectify this?
Currently, he hasn't given us a deadline to have it by.
Okay.
I've been in periodic communication with him. He knows that what we're doing tonight, and he gave me till this time to make a decision as far as what we're gonna do. And then I will contact him tomorrow via email. I'll include Olivia. And that way, he'll give us a bet. Once we tell him what we've decided, then he'll probably just go along with us as long as we keep him informed and we're making progress, is the impression I've gotten from him all along. He's a very nice gentleman.
Okay. David, Shannon, do you guys have any additional questions? No?
So I had asked the board to approve the Tasco quote of $28,263.85 to replace the fire sprinklers at the gym.
And they are, so, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know that you just asked that. We are getting some sort of warranty on this. It's not on the quote. Last thing, sorry.
I don't see it on there, but we can look into it.
Yes,
We
I'll
just maybe
inquire.
ask, even if it's like 30 days
Yes.
for
I'll
his
get-
labor or whatever. I just want to make sure if there's any issues,
Of course,
they'll come back and fix it at no
Yes.
additional cost if it's because of their fault.
of course.
So with that said, if I can get a question? Oh, go ahead.
So you said that it is in our lease, that
Yes.
we are responsible for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Budget, the new budget will reflect that.
Second interim, when we bring second interim, that this cost will be in there.
Okay, perfect. So Phil, if you wouldn't mind reaching out if the motion gets approved.
Yes,
So with
of
that,
course.
with that said, can I get a motion to approve the fire sprinkler system replacement?
I'll motion.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Thank you so much, Phil, for your availability and for your help on this. And thank you, Olivia.
Yep. Do we need to say what company or?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes,
I
that
just wanna make
motion was
sure.
approved for the replacement at $28,263.85
Tasco.
with Tasco. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Moving on to item 11K, which is the review, discussion, and approval of salary schedules presented by our Director of HR, Sylvia Montejano.
Good evening, everyone. We have three salary schedules presented for board approval on a few revisions. We have the classified salary schedule, certificated teacher extra duty compensation salary schedule, and the certificated management salary schedule. These are minor revisions. The classified salary schedule has some revisions that have to do with removal of some stipends in order to be in compliance with state and federal regulations, as well as retirement credible services. So we are required to pay our classified employees on an hourly basis. And by having stipends such as the ones that we are recommending to be removed, we would be out of compliance for both hourly rates, state and federal hourly rates of compensation and credible services for retirement purposes. The next schedule is the certificated teacher salary or extra compensation for teachers. There is one item in there that we're requesting to approve. One revision is adding a $3,000 stipend for an onboarding stipend. And this was something that was promised to new teachers over the summer as new hires for the rural area of Antelope Valley exclusively. And the last one was a minor transposition in the certificated management salary schedule that we're requesting to correct.
All right, if I can get a motion to approve the salary schedules?
I will make the motion.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any nays or abstains? The ayes have it. Motion approved. Thank you so much. And we are going to go ahead and adjourn to close session. It is now 5:20. Hi, Leticia. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.